Skinner's pigeons. Okay, the quote is here. This is out of the Washington Post, too. Competency tests set in 26 schools. New curriculum. This is the one your kids are getting, folks out there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, this is it. The new curriculum shifts teaching methods in the district, was the title of an article which appeared in the Washington Post on August 1st, 1977, and it stated, quote, the materials will be standardized, the lessons will be standardized. Guinness said, he's the associate commissioner. We're taking the play out. We're taking the guesswork out. We're putting in a precise, predicted treatment that leads to a predicted response. Guinness said that the new curriculum is based on the work in behavioral psychology of Harvard University's B.F. Skinner, who developed teaching machines. That's the computer, right? That's his box, which is going in all over, taking all the books out and all. And even trained pigeons during World War II to pilot and detonate bombs and torpedoes. The basic idea, Guinness said, is to break down complicated learning into a sequence of clear, simple skills that everyone can master, although at different rates of speed. And then he said, this is Guinness talking, if you can train a pigeon to fly up there and press a button and set off a bomb, Guinness remarked, why can't you teach human beings to behave in an effective and rational way? We know that we can modify human behavior. We're not scared of that.
We're not scared of that. Yeah.
That's right. This is the biggest thing that's happening in education today.
Well, there it is.
Okay. All right. So, I was in the Department of Education, and I leaked a document to do with his computers. Got myself fired, right? But I got all the other documents out before I leaked the document, so I've got everything, got the goods on it. All right. Now, I have read the text of the legislation being voted on this week, the reauthorization of ESEA. What a bore, But dangerous. Most dangerous part of it relates to charter schools with unelected boards.
I remember when charter schools first came up, and everybody said they were the greatest thing since textbooks. Oh, we're going to turn the system loose. We're going to create geniuses. We're going to do. Now, how many charter schools are there approximately? Have they continued to proliferate, or have they?
Well, they have. I think I just read yesterday that. I know this doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, what are there now? We've got, 14,000 schools in the United States. We've got, this is rather a lot. Now, we've got 5,000 charter schools now, I think.
That's quite a few.
Yes, it is. And this is all for the business community, of course. And the problem is, as I'm going to say, they don't have any elected boards. So the most dangerous part of it relates to charter schools with unelected boards. That is the end, folks, of representative government, part of regionalism, UN Agenda 21. Once the decisions are made by unelected councils in the United States, we won't have a say in anything. Bye-bye the America we all knew and love. And don't think that you can have the education system being run by unelected boards, and you can have everything else, and you're still voting. No, because education is number one in spending at the federal and state and local level, over and above defense. So
see, nobody knows that.
No, they don't know that. No. So once we have given up our right to vote on that huge budget, it's the end. You're not going to worry about going to the polls to vote for tax collector. At least I don't think you will. So anyway, here we go. We go on. Now, the Carnegie Conclusions and Recommendations for the Social Studies, little blue book I have, called for using the schools to change America's capitalist system to a planned economy. That is going in today. Today. Reauthorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act is a major part of the 1934 plan. They finally got there. 1934, it started. 2015, freedom ends. Done deal. If reauthorization passes. Call. No way ESEA. Okay, now, Carnegie's Mark Tucker, following up on 1934, right, wrote the Dear Hillary letter. I don't know if your listeners know about that letter in the 1990s, congratulating Hillary on the election of her Bill.
Oh, nobody remembers that either.
Well, that was back there. Now, it really doesn't make much difference whether it was Bill or
Hillary.
Or George, right? Because
or
George
Hillary.
Bush was doing the same thing, right?
Exactly.
And so Mark Tucker wrote her, and, Hillary, oh, boy, re-implementing this school-to-work system that I was speaking about tonight. And the quote is in there in regard to it, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. But basically, what Tucker said, this is 3 weeks ago, he said, we won't have any more funding of education with our property tax. It's going to be moved to the state level. We will get rid of the U.S. Department of Ed, but its power will be moved down to the state departments of Ed. Governors and unelected councils are going to run it. They will create a national commission of unelected representatives from all states who will coordinate lifelong services under the unelected umbrella of an unelected board. Mm-hmm. Now, that is Tucker's proposal. Now, the key, the verbatim text is at ABCs of dumbdown.blogspot.com. And,
I'm looking at it. I got it here.
Yeah. You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
There it is, and people can say, I don't know who he is, never heard of him before. Well, he's very important. He was part of my office back in the early 80s as well.
He's still around. He's a player.
Yes, Carnegie's point man to put in what was called for in 1934. Mm-hmm. To get rid of our capitalist system, to put in a Soviet workforce training system, and in some cases that little book calls for taking our land away from us. Now, Americans are being told that we should adopt the communist, non-competitive, group-oriented Finnish education system. Now, Finland has very good scores on that test I was talking to you all about, the Program for International Student Assessment. So do many other socialist and communist countries. That's interesting. There's a lot of resistance to this test out there. Not enough. It's going in gradually. We keep being told that it's terrible. We have such bad test scores, PISA test scores, right, in the United States. Now, what is PISA? Americans should be pleased we don't have good scores on PISA. I'm going to repeat that, folks, for you. Next time you read an article in the Atlantic Monthly or the New York Times, you hear it on CBS, or the catastrophe in American education, which I do agree about in a different way, you don't believe a word of the fact that it's a problem, that we have low test scores on PISA. PISA is the UN, UNESCO, OECD, International Skinnerian OBE performance-based test that is probably about 20 to 30% academic, and the rest of it is values destruction, traditional American competitive, hardworking, honest values destruction. I've seen the test. I mean, you know what? You can go. It's all over the Internet. Just go in, type in PISA. You'll see all the sample test items. You tell me you think that's real education. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, remember when parents were upset their school, state, and national assessment results weren't good? Back in the 90s, we were all upset. We were being told, your district grades aren't good on the assessment, and we've got to do something about that. I had parents calling me and saying, Charlotte, what is going on? Our district, our schools really have low test scores. And I said, quote, you should probably be very happy they are not good. That means the teachers are resisting moving to Skinnerian performance-based education and are still teaching academics, teaching your children facts, knowledge, math skills, languages, etc., which they can use for their personal upward mobility. I told them that. Well, it's very interesting. Now, what you're looking at with PISA is the same idea. We're being told again that our test scores are low. PISA is just the international version of the outcome-based assessment that I was just talking about.
Oh, it's spread, metastasized.
That's right. So PISA is not an academic test for liberal arts, foreign languages, history, philosophy, geography. It is a communist performance-based test of knowledge of math and science, and not even that much knowledge, just, minuscule little things to be able to do perfectly that can be measured, total quality management, for workforce training only, and for politically correct, because I've checked you can look at the test items, go to PISA, politically correct globalist UN Agenda 21 values. Take a look at YouTube, Indian educator, talking about the marvels of Common Core math. I got so sick. I sent that to you, right? It was absolutely sickening how he berated the old methods of multiplication, which allowed Americans to become educated. You know that really pretty simple method of multiplication? My calculator went down last week, and I had to do some work for my business, and I had to do it with, a pencil and a piece of paper, and I did it very fast. Thank heavens, I still remember how to do it.
Yeah.
If I did it the way the YouTube Indian educator did it, it would have taken me. I never could have completed it. It was so complicated.
Why are they reinventing the wheel? I mean, what's the motive?
Well, they are disorganizing the brain, and a lot of that is very important. Jeannie Georges is our expert from Indiana on Soviet psychological techniques. And it goes back to their Luria, Vygotsky, etc. It is called disorganization of the brain. That's scary stuff. That's enough for a separate interview, right? Maybe you should get her. You should get her on. Okay. Now, the United States. What I want to continue with this is, we're always being beat up on. We're behind in everything,
right?
And but that's really not true. The United States, we're still hanging on. We have some pretty bright young people out there, very talented, who could be doing very well if allowed to cross the line, be a horse running at a race, a real race. The United States could never have been the world leader in medicine, auto design, inventions, electricity, etc., aviation, manufacturing, music, art, had Americans been subjected to the dumbing down education and testing system we are being encouraged to accept. Covered in what? The reauthorization of ESEA. Say no to ESEA. Okay, folks out there, have you called? You better hurry up. You have only 1 week left to save America on this one.
Okay. Who gets called?
Oh, they're congressmen and senators.
Okay.
They just to pick up the phone and email. You can email them too, and you say no way ESEA. Absolutely no way. This is the end of freedom for America. It's the end of any upward mobility for your children. It's the end of their ability to decide what job they would like to pursue in the future. All the jobs are going to be by quota, like in the Soviet Union. And we have a really good a good statement out of Professor Eugene Boyce on that one at the University of Georgia. He's dead now, and he said, in the Soviet Union and in communist countries, they do not educate for jobs that don't exist. So, if your son wants to be a welder, and they need 10 welders, but he's number 11 to be pulled out and educated, he won't get it. He can't get the job. He can't get the training because he's outside of the quota. They do not educate for jobs that don't exist. And that could be ballet, could be a doctor, could be anything. Your child won't get the training, okay? That's the Soviet system.
Right.
Now, PISA, the Program for International Student Assessment, which is all being, spoken of constantly. I'm always having people ask me that question. Isn't this awful, Charlotte? We're so low on the PISA assessment. It is the international assessment necessary for implementing and monitoring your child's role in contribution to the global workforce training system. What? To spin off profits for guess who? The global elite. PISA is the deliberate dumbing down of the world using methodology of B.F. Skinner, who said I could make a pigeon a high achiever by reinforcing it on a proper schedule.
All tested and proven here.
What's that?
Tested and proven here.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.